Hi, my name is Christian Ackerman, and I get asked a lot about when I make my films, how do I get casts, like how did I cast my movie, where did I get my actors, to how did you get started, and to basically why and how and what do you do, how do you get people, and how do you get it done, all the tons of questions, and so um, I'm making this video just to tell people what I've done, I'm kind of surprised sometimes when people ask me how I got the people I did and how I do what I do. I just basically I tell them like I tell everybody I just do it, and because I like making movies and I just want to do just create art, and I get an idea and I make it, and I still that way. I still just kind of make it up as I go. There's no real system, but then in a way, when I look at it after people have been asking me, and I get asked a lot, and when I'm talking to people, or I'm, other people that have come to me and they're like, "Hey, I need some advice," and I'm always like, I'm not really the greatest person for advice, but I do make films. I do get them out there, and I'm going to try to go over and answer the best I can the questions that people ask me. And I'm putting this video out there for my friends, really, and anybody else who seems to be interested. And um, so some of the films I made are actually behind me. Catastrophic Denouement. Actually, I'll move this as I hit everything and knock everything over. Catastrophic Denouement, Wisconsin Project X, and Terra Vortex are some of the main ones. I make tons of. Actually, I'll leave it like that so you guys can see tons of films, and I also just do shows and I do shorts and stuff like that. Even before YouTube, I was making short movies and just doing silly things with friends, and I still do that, making silly comedy, slapstick kind of movies and stuff. So, but mainly I've been come or people like if I'm introduced somewhere, they just call me a feature filmmaker or independent feature filmmaker or an indie filmmaker. So, which it's cool. I am that, but I feel like I'm more of an artist. So this is kind of an artist perspective. So if you're looking for like real technical stuff, I might have a little bit of that, but I'm not gonna promise. And I'm gonna keep this short and simple. So I'm trying to edit myself because I'm not gonna edit this. It's just gonna be raw. So there's your warning, and let's get down to it. Anyways, one of the questions, the main one that sticks out, is who makes your posters? Whenever first people come in here, they ask like, "Are those your films?" And I go, "Yeah, those are my movies." And then they're like, "Who makes your posters?" And I tell them just honestly, I go, "I do. I make them," which is kind of cool. It's kind of awesome. And they always say, "Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. You make them." And I'm like, "Yeah." And so I feel like even when I look at my posters and my movies, I feel like I get better, a little better over the time, but they're still like indies. They're still low budget, no budget movies. I mean, all these were made just by volunteer and help, and that's where I think maybe the importance of me answering these questions is, and the I guess the kind of interesting part of this is I really make my movies with no money. So it's just like literally out of my own pockets and the people who are involved, what they can lend and what they can like not lending money, I mean lending skills, or they can bring like what their costume is, what they bring to the set, what they're wearing, that kind of stuff. Not just it's never like, oh, can you give me money to make this? It's what they can bring to the table to help make the movie. And so I basically make my posters off stills of my film, and I use a program called GIMP. Sometimes I use Photoshop, but it's a free program called GIMP, GIMP. Look it up. It's a really awesome program, and that's what I use to make my posters. And then I've had a friend uh, print out at his work this poster here, the Catastrophic Denouement. And then I've then had for Wisconsin Project X, I had another friend who had his own printing business at the time, and he printed that one out for me in that size, and he told me the dimensions and the resolution and all that kind of stuff. And then I went through a company called Cafe Press, and I had them print out this poster for me. So there's like all these ways and options, but if you find it, if there's a will, there's a way, and that's basically it with movie making. And that's how I got those posters done. And I just kind of I can't explain why I chose and what I did artwork wise. That's the artist part of me. That's where I really people call me filmmaker, but I'm more of an artist. I like things like sometimes people go, well, that's you should have did it a different way or did this, but then if I like it, then and it kind of intrigues me. It's kind of like me painting, and it is me literally painting and sometimes drawing. Um, if I like it's my art, so it's like me drawing a picture, and so that's how I make the choices. I just kind of let the art decide and how the mood or the tone of the film is, and why I keep on pointing at them like Catastrophic, Wisconsin, then Terror Vortex in that order is that's kind of how these movies are on my timeline and history of making my movies. So Catastrophic Dana Model, like that was a 25-minute film, and then these films here are feature films. So um, basically, they're over an hour. So, and what's significant about them, they all have their own significant um, roles in my life and stuff. Um, is Catastrophic was I always have a moment when I'm making my films, just being honest here, right? We can be honest, unedited. That there's a moment I think with all artists that you feel like, um, why am I doing this? And this is gonna stink, and it didn't turn out how I wanted it to. Everything's not working out, but this is like the after that you're in the moment, or maybe it's even sometimes it happens briefly in the moment while you're doing it. Things can go wrong on set, and so Catastrophic is significant to me because a person here at Missoula Community Access Television, we're making this video for the how-to videos. They suggested me turning it into a film festival, and I'm like, really? I didn't think. I just kind of made it because it was a story I wanted to tell. I just wanted to tell a story, and I finished it, and I was like, okay. And I was just gonna run it because at the time there wasn't really YouTube was really prominent. It wasn't even around yet, and I was just gonna play it on the community access television, and so I ended up turning that in and to this festival, and ended up winning the non-professional award for original teleplay. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm doing something right. Like out of the whole Northwest, I think there was people from like Denmark that were competing, and it was other access television centers or community television, and so I entered that and I won that, and so I was like, okay, maybe I'm doing something right, and that kind of reconfirmed like, okay, besides the crazy passion and the love of making movies, I like making movies, and that thought in the back of your head, well, it's not as good because I had a friend at the time, he was making a movie in film school, and I was in film school at the moment when I made this film. I was doing it on VHS and like SVHS, like it was all like, yeah, VHS. Like I think the only coolest thing we were shooting with was at the time was like a Hi8 camcorder, and that was like kind of the hipster kind of cool camcorder then because it had smaller tapes, and I wasn't even doing it on a DV cam tape, but I remember him showing this guy in film school showed me his movie, and I was like, oh my gosh, my movie. I was all ready to show mine, and his looked by far better. He had a crew, he had everything, like not even a skeleton crew. I mean, they actually had a crew, and their movie had like ADR, like sound design, everything. And then I showed him mine, and I'm like, oh, and he was nice about it. And at that time, I hadn't won the award, so I was like, ugh, what am I doing? I stink at this. And then I won that award, and that kind of went, okay, man, I'm doing something right. I'll keep on doing it. Fueled the passion. And really, why I do this, I just really, even if I don't, I've realized even while I stink at certain things or I can't do things a right way or whatever, at least I just love making movies. I just love telling stories. I love creating. I love acting. I love performing. I love special effects. It kind of has everything in it that I love. So I like love things more than others. And if I'm not necessarily that great at it, or it has that amateur look I'm proud of it at that moment when I make that film. And now if I look back at Catastrophe, I'm like, ew. All my movies, I'm really hard on myself as an artist. So, and then Wisconsin Project X, shooting that all on a digital 8 camcorder with friends, taking over time. Like you take years to make your movies because you're doing it when you're off and when you have free time, and you call people up to be in your movie, which I'm gonna get to how I'm gonna end on how I get my cast, and maybe I'll end on let me get a little closing note. So I'm almost done here. So Wisconsin Project X, we were making it, and I put the trailer up on YouTube, and especially after I used one of my actors, Jesse Head, I put him in the trailer and cut a piece. I had another teaser. I had a teaser and a trailer, and then I recut a third trailer, with Jesse in it, with like because of the movie is almost done. So I put that up online on YouTube, and YouTube changed my life. I started talking to people on their comments. People started commenting on it, and then I basically this guy talked to me on YouTube and told me don't release it on YouTube because that's all I was going to do. I was going to release it on MCAT Channel 7 at the time, the Access Center, and then I was going to release it on YouTube. And this guy's like, don't do it. Don't put it on YouTube. Maybe I can have some people look at it. Long story short, it gets distributed by Brain Damage Films, Midnight Releasing, and now it's available like on DVD, Netflix. It's available like everywhere basically right now, digitally, Amazon, everywhere. And so that was my first film to get worldwide distribution. First film to get an award. First film to get worldwide distribution. And then this film is just my most recent one, and I'm still shopping it out there and putting it out. And it's available. All these films are available. But this one was, this one's significant to me in that after Wisconsin Project X happened, making that on a digital 8 camcorder and just having fun making movies. I mean, and we made it look bad on purpose too. It was like we did it cheesy and stuff. Made it look like it was an old like 16 millimeter print or whatever, or 8 millimeter print. But it was all video. There was no film at all. And that it got picked up by a distributor I was like stoked. But Terra Vortex, and it was like a different. Now everything changed. I even had people, because they found out about that or whatever, wanting to work on my films. And I had people, I had more people, because after all these other films and the prior projects I worked on, I had more people interested in, I guess, working with me because this one's more speculation. And then I'll tell you the real true fact how I get people to work with me. But before I go into special speculation, is that film was just significant because I just had a full crew pretty much of people that weren't getting paid, just volunteers. I had full everything. I had camera people. I had people setting up sets. I still did everything too because you can't help yourself. And I had a lot of help and a lot of actors, a lot of new actors, a lot of new faces, a lot of new people. And so it was really cool that we were all crazy enough to make a film. And they were like, okay, here we go. And so that's one significant to me in that regard. And it just got a write-up in Ain't It Cool News horror. So if anybody of those geeks out there that know Ain't It Cool News, that was pretty big to me. That was like winning an award. And it was also featured in Famous Monsters of Filmland. Just a lot of sites picked it up and talked about it and wrote about it. So it was really sweet. So each one has like a little milestone for something where I'm just like amazed by. You're like in the trenches making your film and you're having a blast. You're having so much fun, and all of a sudden you stop for a moment and you look up and you're like, what did I get myself into? What am I doing? I'm still playing pretend. I'm an adult. So anyway, so making films is just like this, on this level, with no budget, low budget, like literally no budget, and just volunteers and the love and passion of it. It's pretty cool. It's awesome when you think about it. It's crazy at one end of the spectrum, totally, completely nuts, crazy, or as people say, mad. And then in the other sense, it's really cool that the passion, the love for it to create art and do something, and people get involved in doing their part. That's really cool. But the speculation on it is why they do it is I just assume that people are crazy like me, and maybe they see something like they see that I'm gonna finish. Because there's a lot of filmmakers out there that I know that never finish their films, never do anything with them, um, and they have I guess higher expectations for their movies. I guess I don't know. Maybe they won't. They're like, we're gonna make this movie. And it's gonna be in Sundance, and we get distribution. And they're like, that's what we're gonna do. And that's like, instead of making it a goal, they're just like, this is how it has to work, and which is good too. But then it doesn't happen, and then they get defeated, and they're like, well, I'm done. I don't go into it like that. I go into it hoping that'll happen, and then it does sometimes. Or other things. If it goes this way, then I'm happy with that. If it goes that way, cool. If it takes a different turn on what the success is, great. But yeah, I think people do these movies with me, make these films, and help me out is because they're as crazy and as passionate as I am, and they know that I'm, because you are kind of you have to lead, and when everyone's down, you have to pump them up and be a director, be a producer. You have to keep, it's like stoking the fire. You have to be kind of like a catalyst. You got to keep igniting that fire, keep it going, and no matter what. And because at the end of the day, you're the first one there. It's your project, your vision, but you have other people collaborating, helping you with it. And I think that's contagious. And that's the speculation is why they help me out. The technical part, though, the fact of it is, I get asked this is how I'm gonna end is, how do I get cast members or people to be in my movies? Is I don't really do traditional auditions. I just kind of first do who's close to me, like friends and family, and then kind of broaden the scope and look out there and see who else is out there, and just ask, just by conversation. Or sometimes now I've done things where I'll put a flyer out, like, on our Montana Film Office, I'll put something out, and they're awesome. I love the Montana Film Office. They rock. They love us. Love us little people. But I just go and ask them, hey, do you want to be in this film? This is an idea I'm doing. And normally I get, yeah, sure. And they want to do it, and they just think it's like fun, really. I just say, I'm gonna make this movie, it's gonna be really cool, I'm gonna do this, and this is my vision of it, and they go, yeah, I'll do it, I'm in. And that's normally what I get. And then I do get people who are like, yeah, I'm in, and then they start doing it, like, that's not my thing. They're not as crazy, and it's not really fun to them. They look at us like we're nuts. Or they just don't have the time. But normally, it's just me asking them and telling them what I'm going to do. And then I kind of too show them other things I've done. If they're not like too bad, I'll show them some things, or I'll make it. Really, here's the real, I think, instigator catalyst to getting people on board is I either have conceptual like art that I've drawn, or a teaser poster I've made, or mainly a teaser video where it just kind of sets the tone. I make a teaser, I don't have any cast yet, I'll just use myself, film some little bits and pieces, and put some music in it, and I get a little teaser, and that kind of creates the excitement, that creates the spark, and I show them, this is what I want to do, but I want you to play this part, and then that's how I normally get them involved. And that's technically what I really do, to get people involved. So I hope that answers that question, how I get cast members involved, and kind of what I do and how I do it, like how I make my posters and everything. The other thing is, how do you get people talking about your films? How do you get your films out there? And there's a term I use called chumming the waters. I don't know if I heard it from somebody else, but I call it chumming the waters. Like, I feel like it's like you're fishing, and this is the part that you become a producer. So you're a filmmaker, you're also a producer, and there's a business side too that I'm still learning as well. But you chum the water. So basically, you first put your teaser on YouTube, You put it on Facebook. You put things now, Instagram. I love Instagram. Twitter's awesome. Tumblr too. You get like all aspects of everything. You just, what chumming the water is what I mean is, in that analogy, is you make like a little mini press release. Basically, you have maybe your teaser, your trailer, or maybe some photos of on set. You haven't edited anything together yet, and you do a little write up of what your movie's about, what your vision is, like a synopsis, and then you put a poster, like if you have a teaser poster or some cool imagery, and then if my movie's about like say zombies or something like that, or like some kind of noir film or whatever, I find websites and Facebook pages and Instagram people that have that passion. They love zombies, so I'm gonna send them my zombie movie to them. Like buyzombie.com, I'll send them a little press release. I'll send everybody. And normally what happens, because if it's potent in the area of what they specialize in, like if it's zombies, horror, or something like that, and I made a horror film, they normally bite. If it's like a love story, funny comedy, and I put it in a horror thing, normally they're not going to bite because it's not what they feed on. And so in a way, I call the sites sharks, but not in a negative way. Sharks are cool. I make it like I chum the waters that way. So I put out a press release on Facebook, Instagram, and if I have a video, I put that with and I tell about what's going on. And then that's how you wait. After you chum the waters, you put out the information to all these people, and you have to search and you have to look and find people. Then things start to happen. And you kind of, if you're good at it and you kind of hit it just right and you hit the right fishing spots, like meaning the right pages that are associated with the kind of genre or type of film you're doing, whether like me, it's normally a horror or science fiction, fantasy. I go to those sites that write about that kind of stuff, or those sites that like to promote those kind of things. And then sometimes you get on Fangora, Famous Monsters of Filmland. You'll get on Ain't It Cool News, and it's awesome. And then sometimes it starts, these guys know other guys that work in the business or they write their articles, and they'll start spreading the word and pumping it out, and you'll start getting contacted. They'll start coming to you, and so that's kind of what I do. No real magic to it. It's just like the magical part is when somebody likes it, and you're like, oh, okay, sweet. But that's kind of all I do when I'm making movies. So I guess I'm even thinking like how I'm going to title this. Maybe this should be called like How to Make a Movie. A simple basic movie. Maybe I'll name it that. And it is independent, indie, no budget, low budget movie. How to make a no budget, low budget movie and get it out there. And then also one technical thing is I use sites. I make a website. I use Facebook, like I said, Instagram, and I also use this other cool site called CreateSpace, and createspace.com, and that gets your movies out there. Like it makes it so you can publish them so professionally, and they help you with a step-by-step template and how to do it. And so you can get your DVDs out there and get video on demand on Amazon, sell your stuff on Amazon, get your stuff seen, and also get eligible for the Internet Movie Database. So that's another thing I use. And I do have other movies that I talk like on my show, like Axe Flicks, and this is going to be probably in my Axe Flicks thing, but also I'll be putting it up on the MCAT's YouTube as well, because a lot of the people, when I'm working here at MCAT, that's where I get asked the questions a lot. And I'm a film instructor for the Maps Media Institute. So a lot of this crazy stuff that I do, I'm more of an artist. They call me a film instructor, they call me a production instructor, but I only do the technical part so I can do my art. And I've learned something that I guess people don't know how to do. And so I have this knowledge, and that's why I get paid to do what I do. I don't know. I'm just thinking now. Sorry, I'm going on tangents, but that's just how I am. And I hope that answered a lot of questions. I hope this helped out at all. I don't know. If you have any other questions, just comment. Even if you have a silly question, I don't care. Comment. Be sure to check out these movies at fastcoastproductions.com, or just search Catastrophic Denouement, Wisconsin Project X, and Terror Vortex. And now you kind of have like an insight on like how I made those films. Low budget, no budget. Um, there's no budget, only estimated budgets. We think we spent this much. Um, and they're, yeah, just look them up, and now you kind of know what I did, and hopefully that helps you guys out. So thanks for watching. Bye. I don't know how to turn this off.